All right, so it's Aprucci versus Nightcrawler. Both are juggernauts of a player. Aprucci needs no introduction. He is a very active streamer. He has participated in pretty much all the tourney I can think of. He was the winner of the launch tournament when Mechabellum was first out of early access. Nightcrawler, I think, is one of the returning players. I think he used to be extremely good at around the beginning of 2024, and I think he took a break and now he's returning and still, of course, being very good. He is the winner of the last weekend's European region Advanced Wine Group Champion. And this is interesting because both players, at least for Aprucci, he's known to be very aggressive. But both players did choose Stormcallers and they are playing very defensively. All right, round one is decided by who's got the better chaff line and who's got the line. Who is really able to distract that one more shot from the Stormcaller. That was actually pretty good. The Stormcaller was chasing down a single crawler. Okay, so you got another shot. And then we have the Arclight, which can tank for one more shot. So this is almost like a exact mirror match. So it just comes down to the timing of the Stormcallers. All right, it's going to be a skip here for Aprucci. And it's going to be a skip for Nightcrawler. I think none of the cards really make sense. EM might be interesting, but right now there's no tech. I would just take the EM for later rounds. I think it's just a good card to have in later rounds. Nightcrawler decided to pivot right away into Phantom Ray. He is a Typhoon spec, so it does not get any benefits from getting into Phantom Rays right now. You'll still have to unlock them. And Pucci is going heavy into the ground. So this round is going to be won by Nightcrawler due to the lack of upshoot. Round 3. Marksman gets picked by both. Farseer was one of the options as well. But I think right now both players are just gearing for a very long range fight. In long range fights, I'm not entirely sure how good the Phantom Rays are going to be. You can always take Cloak, so Phantom Rays just moving with your first wave of chaff. But later on, I feel like they definitely suffer a little bit with the long range warfare. Rooster decided, not Rooster, Aprucci decided to stick with the Sabertooth. Even though right now there's no real target for the Sabertooth to work on, but because he knows that Nightcrawler is a Typhoon spec and there will be Typhoons on the field, so he decided to stick with the Sabertooth because it will work in the later rounds. Okay, looking at the boards, there are a couple of issues here with the Apuchi's board. First is there's no chaff clear right here in the middle. Sabretooth actually spent quite a lot of time shooting out crawlers. And of course, the front line is currently a little bit susceptible to missiles. So having some chaff at the front, maybe some fans at the front, will be able to stop that. But all in all, it was a very close round, despite the fact that we had some mistake or we have some weaknesses on Apuchi's board. Nano Repair could be really good on a high-level Saber, probably the one in the middle. Enhancement Module could also be very good. One thing you can do is you can upgrade and sell and then replace it with another Stonecaller. And that's exactly what Apuchi is doing. He's trading deployment for additional units. All right. This is kind of evolving into this really standard long-range fight here. AM on a Sabretooth is interesting because inevitably you'll see more Stonecrawlers being added in. And it's still a very close game though. Now that the red player sees the AM on the Sabretooth, I wonder if he'll back off on the Stonecrawler a little bit. But it's very difficult though, right? Like in this sort of fight, having Stormcaller is just such a huge advantage. Nightcrawler decided to pick Farseer. I wonder if it's just to add AM on a Farseer. So here's the Farseer. We got double shot marksman. Farseer themselves aren't always great into this composition, but we'll see. Apuchi's board is looking a little empty, actually. He's still actually the one selling out of Stormcrawlers, which is curious. Typically, when you have this sort of fight, Stormcrawlers would be the sort of the core unit. Oh, never mind. He's just got Stormcrawlers kind of tucking here. So he's still doing the money trick with the Stormcrawlers. Okay, range is taken. So looking at the tech here, we have range on the Arclights for both sides. Range on the Marksman for Apuchi. Double shot on Nightcrawler. Double shot is there to answer the Sabretooth. And then, of course, they will have anti-missile. So though both sides have anti-missile, which means both sides are trying to stay in sort of the Stormcaller play or forcing the opponent to move out of the Stormcaller play. In this case, I do favor Apuchi's board because the Sabretooth costs less and you can have more of them, whereas the Farseer is 50% more expensive. This missile is going to be juicy. It's going to hit everything here. Except none of the big units actually died because they are... what is this? Did he upgrade the armor? Yeah, he did upgrade the armor. So he survives that missile. Okay, looking at the board here, the Farseer without range gets picked off way earlier than the Sabertooth, which means the Sabertooth are able to intercept a few more of these rockets, which means that's the difference it needs to win this round. But the issue, though, is that Nightcrawler may not want to invest again into the Farseer, because if he takes range, which costs 500, he's pretty much stuck in the Farseer. And Farseer themselves also have a missile-based attack. So in the later rounds, if Apuchi just spams Sabretooth and Nightcrawler spams Farseer, Nightcrawler will lose that battle. A very awkward unit right now. I mean, I get the AM, but your AM just simply does not stay long enough with 125 meters. Okay, Apuchi just kept flipping on the side here. So he sold the Stormcaller on the side and puts it on the other side. All right. EM on the Arclight. I think the purpose is just to tap the Sabertooth. Now the question is, will the EM be landing on the Sabertooth enough or sooner to make a difference? I don't think so. I feel like by the time the EM actually lands on the Sabertooth, the battle, at least the Chap War, would have been over. And you really need the Stormcallers to deal with the Chap. So I think that was mathematically it didn't check out. Yeah, the Sabertooth the AM is just too much value here. If I were a Apuchi, I might actually have a reason to just go more Stormcallers. But for now, is okay, Ranger's taking on a Sabertooth. Lightning Storm is being put down. What would the damage on this level 3 or level 4 marksman? 45,000 last round. It's not terrible. Able to bring down the Sabertooth, I presume. Yep. A huge investment, 350 plus the 50 you're going to get if you skip. So 400 supplies worth of ability here. And the only thing is really going to get is probably just a Chap and a 2 marksman. It's continuing to put down the Stormcallers, and now with high explosive ammo. I'm not entirely sure that's the right option. There's already 5 Sabertooth on the board, and there's no reason for Apuchi to stop making Sabertooth if they're working so well. And just tacking up your Stormcallers because you might land some missiles at the beginning of the round to kill Chap. I just don't think that makes sense. Right now, I think Sabertooth pretty much keeps the Chap line protected until it's done, and then the Stormcaller will get an opportunity because that's when the Arclights gets a lock onto the Sabertooth with EM. And if your Stormcrawlers are primarily going to be shooting at Sabertooth, you don't actually need high explosive. You can just go with regular or vanilla Stormcrawler. They actually do more damage to single units. Yeah, still trying to get those missiles. It's just not working. And what ended up happening is that the Sabertooth actually walk away with more HP because before, right, the few missiles that slipped through were just regular missiles, but now those missiles actually deal, I believe, what, 40% less damage because of high explosive. So it's not a great technology to take if you can't already adequately answer the missile interceptors from the Sabertooth. If you really want to push hard into Stonecrawlers, you could possibly get into launcher overload, and that will overwhelm the puny missile interceptors on the Sabertooth. Okay, more fire is being put down. I feel like Nightcrawler is reading the board slightly wrong. All the things that he's been doing in the last couple of rounds has been focused on chaff clear. Right, he's got high explosive on the Stonecrawlers. He's got lightning storm in the previous round, and now he's got fire and oil. So it's another like a 350 investment or 300 investment. A lot of tempo play, but really what's killing Nightcrawler is not so much the chaff line, is what comes after the chaff line. These 5 Sabertooth with range absolutely murdered everything on this board. And now with 3 more, yeah, so I feel like Nightcrawler is just kind of missing the issue here. All this Sabertooth range is very difficult to answer. Even when it's just, you know, the first round of them being put down. Later on, once they get a few levels, like level 3 Sabertooths, they deal 20,000 damage. So you put down a Melter, it gets killed by a level 3 Sabertooth in 3 hits. No, 2 hits, because the Melter is only, what, 30-something thousand at round 1? Level 1? Yeah, so with all this Sabertooth, there's definitely not going to be any rockets falling through, which means when that initial chaff fight is done, what comes after is the problem. Now, it looks like the marksmen are doing decent. Maybe we just need more marksmen. Oh, the level 2 Sabertooth coming in. My god, is still able to win this round with the Sabertooth, despite the oil fire combo. Alright, potentially could be the final round here. Both took the Mustangs just for better chaff clear and later on chaff. I'm surprised Nightcrawler did not sell out of this Farseer, because right now there's no Stonecrawlers on the board, and these Farseer are not getting what they need to do. I mean, this guy did 4,000 damage for a 300 supply unit. Alright, it's going to be carry Arclights, but I just don't think Arclights has enough DPS to power down a level 3 Sabertooth. This guy's got 66,000, and Arclight deals 4,000 per shot every 1.2 seconds, and that's what? 15 seconds? Yeah, there's not going to be a solution here with these charge shot Arclights. Yep, it's just too much. Right? Even with the Fangs, now with Fang's shield, it's just too much. The Stonecrawlers were completely useless. The Farseers were completely useless because they also shoot missiles and they're being intercepted. There's just a lot of inefficient units here on the board. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this game. And let's move on to the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. the battlefield's alive with swarms.